Yeah, that was some theme music.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we have this game going. So Still Had All These is playing some sort of AU deck involving presumably a lot of armor and robots, from what we can see. Turn 1, played a behemoth. We still don't know what Short is playing.
I kind of like
Mono Utera deck, it would seem.
I kind of like not having deck lists displayed. I know that's a popular trend, but I don't know. It makes it a little bit sort of exciting to kind of see what comes out, and makes us a little more suspenseful. But we do have AU, some sort of robot list. It seems Still Had all of these short on
Mono U Dinos, it would
Mono
seem.
U Dinos with a little white fox thing.
Which happens to be a Terra card.
Yep, one of the newer cards, the Patron Cycle, which gives bonus to players for having a lot of a faction in their hand. This one makes a copy of itself in an adjacent lane if you have 3 Utera cards in your hand when played. Which means you're probably wanting to be playing 90% of that color to make these cards work. I'm not sure how I feel about them, but we've seen a lot of them in play so far already.
Right. So what we just saw this turn is the Ridgeback as well as the new card, which honestly this new cycle of Legends is very interesting because it's hard to evaluate. So we saw him play Enduring Vitality on this turn. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of impact it has on the game. I know that going into this new expansion, I was expecting the Utera card to be extraordinarily strong. It appears that it's not quite as strong as I would have thought. But this is going to be an interesting.
Yeah, it's potential. I mean, obviously, you get a free creature if you trigger it, and then I think it's really about how you take advantage of that.
So I was thinking of the Enduring Vitality. Sorry, not the Patron.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so the spell. Yeah, the spell.
Well, even on to that note, I mean, because what I was going to say is about the Patron, you've got to really kind of buff it to really get supreme value. And then the buff provided by the Legend, in the same way, you really need to be producing free creatures or 2 for 1 or some sort of thing that gets that +1/+1.
Exactly, yes. Or you need some sort of way to recoup the tempo loss. I guess another way in which the card, can be played is suppose that you have a very strong early start in early game and you establish a very, very strong board presence, then perhaps in later player level 1, you can afford to just drop one without losing too much board. But as we see here, so this is a case where, you played Vitality. Now we're going to see, how the rest of player level 1 is going to develop, but you played Vitality on this turn, whereas your opponent was playing multiple creatures, and you're effectively falling back on board. Now let's see how he tries to build back, and it's possible that the Patron is just the perfect companion card for the job.
Wow, so this is what I'm talking about. Sentry with the Enduring Vitality is just rude.
Yes.
Holy cow. Free cards, that's just rude. Lovin still had all these decks so far. The card like Enduring Vitality, you think, oh, wow, it's a Crusade, which is a magic card that buffs white creatures. Everything I play is going to get +1/+1. But it does take a play, and unless you're really gaining some supreme value, like a free Leyline Sentry, it's not bad, of course, but you want to optimize cards like that because it does cost a play and does nothing to the board.
Exactly. And it only buffs your Utera creatures as well. And there are a few Utera cards, like the Patron, and like the old and wonderful card whose name I'm forgetting, Echoist. There are a few Utera cards like that will just give you value and maybe help you gain the tempo back. But without cards like that, you're just losing board presence by playing something like Vitality.
We're seeing kind of a one-sided game so far.
I agree.
Boy,
So the deck that still had all these displaying, so far it looks a lot like the AU armor decks that were hating on dinos during the 6.0 metagame, right?
oh yeah, and I was playing that a lot actually in the. I get confused. One of the GGs, was it a golden or a green? I don't know, but I played the AU
One of them, right? Yes, yes, yes.
to top 16 or top 8. I really like the deck, especially versus dinos, obviously, because armor and things like Leyline Sentry just get you kind of value over time, and that's what it's all about. Obviously, Justicar needs an explanation for why that's good against Dino Knight, but I like the addition of Malice Hermit. That's a card that hasn't really, it has really fallen off since the quote-unquote nerf. I still think it's an amazing card. I mean, it doesn't get as huge. It's not as much of a threat per se, but it still has the exact same poison sort of control / clearing effect. So
right. So the question is like, I mean, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how this plays out. But the question is like, what is he trying to hit with this poison, right? Like, is the idea that you need something like the poison versus dinos just to, just to clear those like few health points that you're otherwise having a hard time dealing with on the dinos, or is it for some other matchups? That's interesting to me.
I think effectively, I don't know if he planned this, but it's good against things like what is it? The patron, the new card, the little white fox. It's got 4 health. That's 2. That's really he's only 1 attack.
Right.
Not to mention, I think what he did plan for in the Dinos matchup though is it kills the Raptor from the Warclaw, which is
yes for sure
always value when you can get a free kill off that and buff your guy.
So like, I mean, on that note, you would expect, the Dinos players to know that, and especially if they're running things like Immortal Echoes, to just not play the Raptor, or at least, the token is optional if I remember correctly. So, like at least like, not, put themselves in a position where they can just get their token killed, because that's terrible for them. But it looks like this is an Echo-less version of Dinos from what we've been seeing so far.
It is, I think it's Mono Utera.
Well, there's a few, right? We're seeing a few Necreon cards, like the Slayline Demon right now and so on, but it looks very light on Necreon.
Right, in terms of castable spells. He might have, I've seen him play a few different versions of these. I know we tried out various cards, Scythe, Shatterbolt, but there's probably only 3 non-Utera cards, if I recall. I'm not sure exactly which.
So this is going to be another, to me, very interesting question in starting to, integrate slowly the patrons